The last message she ever sent me was 3 characters long. Not words. Not a sentence. Just 3 characters in Korean. Which translates to, "Don't forget me." I didn't reply, I deleted the message. Then I deleted her contact entirely. That was 14 months ago. Last week, I got a new message from a number I didn't recognize, 3 characters. Same ones. And when I looked at the timestamp, it had been sent at the exact minute, the exact second, of her death. My name is Yoon Jae-ho. I'm 29. I moved to Seoul from Busan 3 years ago for a job in digital marketing that I was too proud of and not good enough at. Rented a small apartment on the 14th floor of a building in Mapogu, the kind of building that looks temporary from the outside but has been there for 30 years. The kind of place where every wall is thin and everyone uses headphones. I want to be honest about who I was when this started, because if I'm not honest, none of it makes sense. I was selfish. I was the kind of person who let relationships go cold because maintaining them felt like effort. I kept people at exactly the distance that was convenient for me. And when they got too close, when they needed something I didn't want to give, I disappeared. Her name was Park Soo-yeon. We had dated for 7 months. She was warm in the way some people are warm, not as a performance, just as a nature. She cooked for people. She remembered birthdays. She texted back immediately and meant every word. I broke up with her over a message because I couldn't be bothered with the conversation in person. She spent 2 weeks trying to reach me. I ignored every call, every message. And when she sent that final one, those 3 characters, I deleted it and blocked her number. 6 days later, she died. A fall from her apartment building, 11 floors. The police called it an accident. I have never fully believed that. For 14 months I was fine. That is the honest word for it, fine. Not healed, not at peace. Just functioning. I worked. I ate. I slept without dreaming, which felt like a mercy I hadn't earned. The apartment helped somehow. 14th floor, nobody above me except the rooftop machinery. The height made me feel separate from things. I could look out at the city, and feel like none of it reached me. And then in October, 14 months after Soo-yeon died, 3 things happened in the same week, and I didn't connect them at the time. I should have. The first, the smell. I came home on a Monday evening and my apartment smelled like her. Not perfume, something warmer and more specific. The smell of her kitchen when she cooked, that combination of sesame oil, and something floral I had never been able to name. I stood in the doorway for a long time. Then I opened every window, and told myself it was the neighbors cooking drifting in. The second, the light in the bathroom. I have a motion sensor light. I put it in because the switch is in a stupid position. It comes on when I enter and stays on 30 seconds after I leave. I woke up at 3 a.m. to use the bathroom, and the light was already on. Motion had triggered it. 30 seconds. Then off. I stood in the hallway and watched it, and told myself it was a moth. The third, I found a photograph on my phone that I did not take. It was in my camera roll, time-stamped 2 weeks earlier, during a Tuesday afternoon when I was at work. A photo of my apartment, taken from inside, facing my bed. Slightly blurred, as if taken quickly. Or as if taken by someone who didn't want to be seen. My bed was made. Everything looked normal. Except for one thing. On my pillow. Something small and dark. I zoomed in. It was a folded piece of paper, the kind used for traditional hanji, Korean mulberry paper, that people burn as offerings for the dead. When I looked at my pillow, in real life, at that moment, It was empty. I called my mother that night. Not to tell her what was happening, I didn't have the words yet, but because I needed to hear something familiar. We talked about nothing for 20 minutes. And at the end, almost by accident, I asked about something from my childhood. There was a concept my grandmother used, the resentment of someone who died with unfinished longing. Not just the grief of the dead person, but the way that grief could attach itself to the living who caused it. Reach back. Ask for something. My mother laughed when I brought it up. She said grandmother believed all kinds of things. Don't go filling your head with old stories. I laughed too and changed the subject. But after I hung up I sat in my kitchen for a long time, thinking about something my grandmother had said once, when I was maybe 9 years old. She said, "The ones who die with a word still in their mouth, that word doesn't go with them." I started finding things out of place. Not dramatically. Nothing thrown across the room, just small displacements I could almost always explain. A mug on the left side of the dish rack instead of the right, where I always put it. My desk chair facing the window instead of the desk. A single shoe placed neatly in the center of the hallway, the other still by the door. Each time, I found an explanation. I was tired. I was distracted. I did it without noticing. And then, one morning I found my phone on the kitchen counter, screen up, open to my contacts. Scrolled exactly to where her name would have been. The space between two other contacts, sitting there like a gap someone had made deliberately. Where she used to be. The message arrived on a Thursday. I was in the middle of a work call, half listening, watching rain move down the window in slow diagonal lines. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I ignored it and finished the call. When I opened it afterward, I sat very still for a long time. 3 characters. Don't forget me. I checked the timestamp. The message was sent at 11:42 p.m. on the 3rd of September of last year. Soo Yun died on September 3rd. At 11:42 p.m. That was the time listed on the police report, which I had read once, and then put in a drawer I hadn't opened since. But this message had arrived today. On my phone, now. The timestamp read 14 months ago, same date, same time, down to the second, but my phone had only just received it. Like something that had been waiting in transit all this time, had finally been delivered. I typed back, "Who is this?" No reply. I called the number. A recorded voice told me it was not in service. Had never been in service. That night, I lay on my side and watched the bathroom light. It didn't come on. The apartment was completely still, and somehow that was worse, the feeling that whatever had been moving through my space was now just standing still. Watching me the way I used to watch the light. This is where I need to stop. Because what I'm about to tell you doesn't just make everything scarier, it makes everything I experienced earlier make a horrible, specific kind of sense. Up until this point, I had been thinking about this as something being done to me. Something that wanted me afraid. I was wrong about what it wanted. Soo Yun had a friend named Cha Ayan, the only person from her life who had ever reached out to me after her death. She had sent one message months ago that I hadn't responded to. I found it now in my inbox. I wrote back. Said I was sorry and asked if we could talk. We met at a cafe near her office. She was guarded at first. I understood that. I wasn't someone she had reason to trust. But when I described what had been happening, the photograph, the objects moved, the message, something shifted in her face. Not surprise, recognition. She told me Suyin had grown up in a family, with a practicing shaman on her mother's side, a mudang. She had absorbed a specific understanding of death, that most people her age had dismissed. And in the weeks before she died, Suyin had talked about something she was afraid of. Not about me. About herself. She was afraid of dying with a word still unsaid. She had told Chayan that in her family's belief, the worst death wasn't a painful one. It was an incomplete one, a death that left behind an intention that never landed. A question never answered. Chayan looked at me, across the table and said, "She wasn't haunting you, Jeho. She was asking you something. She's been asking you, since the night she died." I asked what she was asking. Chayan said she didn't know. She said that was between Suyin and me. And then she said, "In this tradition, when a spirit asks something, and the living won't answer, the asking doesn't stop. It gets louder. And eventually it stops being a question." I asked what it becomes. She just looked at me. I went home and tried to sleep and couldn't. I lay there and thought about what Chayan said. And I thought about what I had done, not in the abstract guilty way. I had been carrying it for a year, but specifically the message she sent. 3 characters, "Don't forget me." And what I did, deleted it. Deleted her. Made her not exist in my phone, in my life, as if I had the right to do that. At 2 a.m. the bathroom light came on. 30 seconds. Off. On again. Off. On, and this time it stayed on. Past 30 seconds. A minute. I lay there watching the rectangle of light on the hallway floor and I did not move. Then I heard it. From inside the bathroom. Not the tap, I checked later, the tap was dry. A sound like something moving through water that shouldn't have been there. And then, a single knock from inside the bathroom wall. Hollow and resonant. Then silence. Then 2 knocks. Then silence. Then 3. In Korean shamanic tradition, I had been reading about it since the cafe, there is a specific ritual pattern. A shaman making contact with a spirit, knocks 3 times. The spirit answers. Back and forth. Establishing presence. Establishing intention. Whatever was in my wall was doing the first half of that ritual. It was waiting for me to do the second half. I know, but I was terrified. And I am ashamed of that now because the terror was so familiar. It was the exact same avoidance I had used on her when she was alive. She had asked me something. I had been too cowardly to face it. I had gone quiet and disappeared. And here I was, 14 months later, doing the exact same thing to a dead woman, lying in my bed, silent, hoping she would stop. She didn't stop. A week after the knocking started, I came home and found my apartment changed, in a way that couldn't be rationalized. Every photograph I owned, framed, loose, saved on my phone, was turned face down. Every single one. The 4 on my desk. The 1 on the fridge. The print above the couch. All face down. And my phone, which I had locked and put in my bag, was open on my desk, screen up, showing one photo I had never seen before. It was a photo of us. From a day trip we had taken to Gyeongbokgung, the old palace in the center of Seoul. I'm looking at the camera. She is looking at me. The expression on her face is one I hadn't let myself remember. Not sadness. Not accusation. Just attention. The kind of look someone gives you when they are fully, completely present with you and you are the only thing in their sight. I don't know who took this photo. I didn't have it. I know I didn't have it. I sat down on the floor in front of my desk, not in a chair, just on the floor, and I looked at that photograph for a long time. And something in me that I had been holding shut for over a year just opened. I said her name out loud in my apartment for the first time. I said, I was sorry. Not in the hollow way people say it. In the specific way. I said, I got your message. I read it. I knew what it meant and I deleted it anyway, because I was a coward. I am sorry. I have not forgotten you and I never did. The apartment was absolutely silent. And then, very slowly, from the direction of the bathroom, the light came on. Not hard and sudden. The way a light comes on when someone adjusts a dimmer. Slow. Gentle. Like something breathing in. It stayed on for a long time. Then it went off. And nothing has happened since. I want to tell you, that was the end of it. That I felt peace. That she felt peace. That two people who had an unfinished thing between them finally finished it, one of them, from somewhere I can't name. And maybe that is true. Maybe it ended there. But here is the thing I cannot explain. The thing that keeps me from sleeping some nights even now. I went back through my phone after that night. The photograph from Gyeongbokgung, the one I had never taken, never owned, was gone from my camera roll. As if it had never been there. The photo had been deleted. Timestamp, the exact moment I said her name out loud. Which means, it had been real. It had existed. And something, at the precise second I finally spoke, had chosen to take it back. I have thought a lot about those words. The ones about the question becoming something else, if it is never answered. And I need to believe I answered in time. That whatever had been building in my apartment, in my walls, around my sleep, had wanted only one thing, to be remembered. To not be deleted from existence by the person it had trusted most. I think about the folklore differently now than I used to. My grandmother's stories always seemed like control mechanisms, ways to keep people afraid of wrongdoing. But sitting on that floor, saying a dead woman's name, in an empty apartment, I understood something different. The stories were never about punishment. They were about the weight of the unfinished. About what it costs to leave things unsaid. About how the people we abandon don't simply disappear. They wait. I still have the message. I didn't delete it this time. The 3 characters, sitting in my inbox, from a number that doesn't exist. I've read it, probably 200 times. Don't forget me. I won't. But here is the thing, I haven't told anyone until now. Last week, 3 weeks after the night I answered, my phone buzzed again. Same number, unknown. I opened it immediately this time. It was a different message. 2 characters I had to look up, because they weren't words I used often. I stared at my screen for a long time. Then I looked up the translation. It said, "Not yet." I don't know what that means. I don't know what she was waiting for before, and I don't know what she is waiting for now. I don't know if what she needed was peace or something else entirely. Something I haven't given yet. Something I don't know how to give. And the part that keeps me up at night, the part one cannot reason my way out of, is this. That final message was not sent at the time of her death. It was sent at 11:42 p.m. tonight. While I was writing this.